Here's what you can look forward to on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
And a lot of times, like I said, it's not even necessarily about the shot at all. It's about how they're feeling, because at the end of the day, the photos are beautiful. They're going to have them, but I am just hoping to create a space where they can just really release whatever they need to release and just feel like themselves and know that they can be loved and that they can also love themselves in a different way.
Oh, Toto, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Well, except maybe the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Running a business is hard. Being a business leader is even harder. The Nice Guys bring in top industry pros to help your business prosper in a tough world. Get real advice from real people to get you real results today. Now it's time for the Nice Guys on Business. Here's your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
All right, Nice Guy community, check this out. So when you have a bus called the Boudie Bus, and more importantly, when you have a boudoir style business, I don't think any more of an intro is actually needed. So Sarah Marcella, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. I'm excited to have you here too. That you are our first boudoir photographer that has actually been on the show. I think now I did have somebody that was a dominatrix. Does that at all count, or no? That's not the same category.
It's not the same category, but I think that we probably have the same views, like in certain ways, female empowerment. So yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, I met you through, I think, was it through Podmatch or one of the different services that are out there? And I got to tell you, I never, ever, for whatever reason it is, all of my guest requests are usually outgoing. There's none that are incoming. And when I saw that you had requested to be on the show, first thing I did was, of course, I go to your website, and then I go to your Instagram channel, and then I find myself scrolling because I think it's just such a fascinating business that you're in. And, the reason I wanted to keep the intro short is because I want to leave more time for us to have a really cool conversation about what you do and how you do it. Is that cool?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. So I want to talk about something that you originally started before I hit record with this conversation. And I want to discuss the origin story of the Boudie Bus and the profession that you're in. As a photographer, as an editorial photographer, it sounded like you started in that arena. You hit me with something pretty interesting. You said, I was stressed, or I was depressed, or I wasn't happy in that business. Talk to me about the origin story of your boudoir business. Then we'll talk about the Boudie Bus beyond that. And then we'll talk about the running of this actual business too. So any one of those subjects you want to start with, I really would like to make sure that we cover them all though.
Of course. Yeah. So I've been a professional photographer now for a little over 8 years. I started in DC, and that's really where I started doing publications and editorial work. And I actually really, really enjoy doing editorial photography, like the process of it. But what I found, and what was so heartbreaking as a photographer, photographing specifically women for different publications, there were just a slew of edit requests and retouching requests that I was getting almost, I would say 80% of my shoots. Now, their photos are going into publications, so they're very particular about how they want to look. But what I found is that it was very rare that I was not having a woman request some type of editing done to her body, like body modification. I'm not just talking about like a pimple removed, like significant wrinkle reduction, arm reduction, waist reduction, ching, like making sure gray roots aren't showing. So all of these things, it started to really affect me ethically as an artist and as a photographer and as a woman. And I felt like I was perpetuating this, one of the major issues that I feel like as a woman that we deal with right now. And that is this like idealistic body that is completely unattainable. And part of the reason how we've gotten to this point is because we're constantly bombarded with all these images that are retouched and filters on, like, now you don't even need a photographer to do your retouching. You can do it all through social media.
Right.
And so doing that full time all the time really started to like break my spirit as an artist. And I ran a very successful business in 2019 prior to the pandemic, and became a six-figure business, which was really exciting. And I got all these awards and accolades. I got 40 under 40 for Alexandria and a bunch of other like best photographer awards. And I felt so unfulfilled. There was a piece of me that just felt, I just daily unhappiness because I was disappointed in myself for what I was doing. And so I decided whenever the pandemic hit, it crashed my business pretty much because photography is not essential, at least, and that's how I feel about it. It's kind of one of those things that like people just don't have the marketing budget for whenever your business isn't making money. Right. So I had to pivot my business just like everyone else, but still my business took a pretty major hit. So I took a 3-month road trip in 2020 and went across the country. And part of that trip, I lived out of my Subaru. And I just decided that I wanted to live a more nomadic lifestyle. I've never lived in the same place for more than a year since I was 18, and I'm currently 32. So I've moved a lot, at least once a year, sometimes more than that. So the idea of like living on the road or creating a home that was mobile was very appealing to me. So on the last day of that road trip, I found my bus, the Boudie Bus, and started to transition into this different lifestyle and photography. And I still do. I just want to reiterate and be completely transparent. I do still do quite a bit of editorial photography. I try my best to steer clients away from the like significant body modifications or retouching. And I try to like help them through that process, but I definitely still do a lot of editorial. So I haven't given that up, but I feel like what I'm able to do now is provide a service that I'm really passionate about, which is my pay what you can boudoir service.
What's really cool about what you have done is it's kind of like, and I'm going to make an extreme comparison here, not at all comparing your business to the gas companies that are out there. However, it's kind of like a gas company doing something that is on the other side of their business environmentally sound, and not because the government is making them do it, more because they feel like because they're doing this on the let me kill the ecology and the environment. On the other side, it's like, hey, let me do something good for the environment. Now, taking that to your example, you know, you're doing something that, look, it's not. There are certain things that as a photographer you're probably doing to pay the bills, and there are certain things that you are doing to further enhance the environment, to women empowerment, you know, making a statement, all of those things. Is that I hate to compare you to the gas company. That wasn't the line I was trying to draw. But is that kind of what, I mean, it makes you feel a little bit better about what you do because you're able to offset it with this other thing?
I definitely feel a lot better, and I'm able to actually see a change in what I'm doing. A lot of the editorial work and publications that I work for, I work through, like, the client is actually my client. The publication is my client. So the client goes to the publication and says, these are things I'd like to have changed. Please have your photographer edit them. And then the publication comes to me and they're like, hey, here's the list of what they'd like done. So what I've started doing with those clients, my editorial clients, is actually at the shoots talking through the women that I'm photographing at the time and working through their own like hesitations and their own self-confidence issues. So hopefully we don't get to the point that they're requesting those edits. But when they do, I still have to perform them just because it is through a publication. But yeah, I definitely feel like I am trying to offset some of the things that I've done that I'm not necessarily proud of, just because I do think it's really important that we start to realize how everything that we see and all the media that we're bombarded with is so fake. So getting back to a more natural, self-loving state for women.
Well, I remember when, and this is the one that comes to mind for me. I remember when Dove went for their more natural approach to what women look like, not what the supermodels look like, and representing their brand. That's like one of the first ones that I remember kind of put that on the map. Tell me a little bit about maybe the pushback that you maybe you never got, but maybe you did get a lot of it. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Tell me a little bit about the pushback that you got about the stigma attached to boudoir photography before you even started to do this, or did you not get that at all starting it out?
I think that just because of the people that I surround myself with, I really did not get a lot of that. I mean, I definitely had some people who I've met whenever I'm explaining what I do. They're like, "Oh, so you do porn?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. That's not." And I do want to just reiterate right here, I am not against porn, not like saying anything about that, but boudoir is different from porn. So I really did not get any pushback. My parents are very supportive, and like, even whenever I told them I wanted to live in a school bus, they were like, all right, just, don't park it in our driveway too often. But honestly, like, I don't think I've had a lot of negative comments or anything really from being a boudoir photographer at all. I think most of it has come from the pay what you can payment structure. That's where I've really had to have more difficult conversations.
No, I totally understand. And we're going to talk about the business model that you've put into play. I want to talk a little bit more about how you best serve your clients before we get to the pay model and the back end, the business side. That's pretty funny. The back end of a boudoir business. Okay, that's cool. Kind of like that. So tell me a little bit about how you find clients. Tell me about this journey that you took across the country, or maybe multiple trips across the country. Tell me the differences regionally between the people that you run into at different spots and stops along your journey.
Okay, yeah. So I've now done 3 cross-country trips in the bus. So in the past 18 months, I've done a total of 5 trips between the Subaru and the bus across the country. And the way that I find most of my clients is either through Facebook groups or Instagram and TikTok. Those are all 3. So it's mostly social media. And I'm able to kind of reach a broader audience that way. And what I do is I choose the route that I'm going on, and then choose cities that are in those areas. And then within 30 minutes of each city that I choose, I find a campsite that's private. I do a lot of research to make sure wherever I'm going, I feel like not only will my client be comfortable, but will I be comfortable, or vice versa, I should say. I'm sorry, what was the later part of that question?
Well, let's see. It was regionally the different types of people that you might run into. Is it different in California than, for example, in Kansas? I would imagine there would be but I don't know that it wouldn't be a lot of people that would still come out.
It's not. It's kind of surprising. You would think that maybe like in the more conservative areas that there'd be less interest, but that's not true at all. I feel like really everywhere that I've been, there's been so much interest. And I think that there's just this, like, women have this thirst right now to have a way to express themselves in a way they're not going to be judged for. I've photographed women all over the country now, from Maine to Indiana, Michigan, Iowa. Really the only thing that changes about each shoot, they're all the same. They're not allowed to tell me how much they're paying prior to the shoot. I request that they don't do that. They're not allowed to pay before the shoot. The only thing that really changes for each shoot is location. That's it. Okay. Everything else, obviously there are some people that are more comfortable than others, but really I've been blown away by how boudoir is very vulnerable and very intimate, and how safe and comfortable the women who I've worked with have felt.
How do you get started? Not as a photographer in that, but as a client. I can imagine that first shot where you actually have something to reveal is kind of a little bit fearful and a little bit, I don't know. I feel like I would be scared. I don't know. So tell me a little bit about the experience.
So we start with about a 10-minute meeting, normally in my bus. And so they come in and we sit down and we talk, and I ask them why they've come today. And we go through, women have pretty quickly shared some of their past traumas with me, which I am very grateful that they feel comfortable enough to do. And I try to create as safe a space as possible so that they feel they can open up to me. That's really important for me. And I always tell them the main point of the shoot isn't about the photos that we get, but I want you to feel like you have a comfortable, safe space. So if at any point of the shoot, you no longer are feeling comfortable or safe, please let me know. So we go through like that whole spiel. And then I asked every client that I have, I always say, what are 3 words of how you'd like to feel or what you'd like to take away or how you'd like your shoot to look? What are 3 words that could describe that? And I've had adventurous, feminine, sensual, bold. One person told me, I just want to look like I don't give a fuck anymore. And I'm like, perfect, love it. Yeah. So we kind of like really, and I share some of my own past traumas, my own past experiences, so that I am not only allowing them to be vulnerable, but I'm showing them that I'm also being vulnerable with them. And then we always start with their favorite outfit. So I ask all the women that I photograph, I ask them to bring the outfit that makes them feel the sexiest. That can be anything from a bathing suit to like what you'd wear out, going out clubbing with your friends. Like it could be your favorite pair of jeans that you feel like your butt just looks incredible in. So we always start fully clothed and then we go from there. And so it just, that way they're not feeling like they have to expose themselves immediately. They can just take their time with it. And also like with my boudoir shoots, there are times that they're never fully exposed and that's perfectly fine. This is all about them and their comfort level. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason to completely strip down. I have had some women who get naked immediately and I'm like, I'm here for that as well. So it kind of depends on their own comfort level and like how they're feeling and how the conversation is going. But yeah, we normally always start clothed and then go from there.
So it's interesting because I try to put myself in the position, not as the subject, but as the, let's say, boyfriend or husband of the person that is going to be being the subject of the pictures. I think about it and, you know, if I were to think about JJ, who's my girlfriend, think about JJ, I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I would really love her to do that, but it's not for me to tell her to do it or even Rick. I don't know. Is there a part, take me back before the photo shoot even begins. Any idea what those conversations sound like? Is it usually the woman introducing the idea to her spouse, significant other, if there is one, or is it sometimes a complete secret until it's all done? And sometimes it still could be a secret because some women might just be doing this for themselves only, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So the type of boudoir that I do, I consider it more of like a spiritual experience. So it's really meant for them to feel comfortable and to love themselves on a deeper level. So far, I've done over 60 shoots, probably around like between 65 and 68 shoots within the past few months. I've only ever had 3 women that I photographed who were doing it for a partner. Mm-hmm. So overwhelmingly, it's for themselves. And they're like, I welcome them with open arms, whether they're doing it for themselves or for their partners. But most of the time they're like, and the ones who have done it for their partners, they're like, yeah, I'm doing this for my partner, but like, I also have really been wanting to do this for a long time. Yeah. So most of the time it's like they've gone through something in their life or we're going through COVID still. And they're like, listen, I've gained some pounds or I've really struggled this past year, or I just don't even feel like myself in my body anymore. I just want to love myself again. And that's the type of space that I try to create is a place where they can come and just feel comfortable. Like I said, not judged and just like love themselves in a different way.
What has happened that would stand out to you during any of these photo shoots? Has anybody gotten cold feet in the middle of it and just completely just said, no, I can't go through with this? Has anybody leaned more into it thinking I'm not going to be as exposed as I thought, you know, as I feel I could be? And then all of a sudden they're completely free what experiences have you had in the middle of these shoots?
Yeah, I haven't had anyone either back out or pull back. I've actually had quite the opposite where they were like, yeah, I didn't really want to be topless, but now like I really want a topless shot. Or, yeah, I didn't really think about being fully nude and I've never been nude in public before. And I'm like, well, where I shoot, it's all very private, but in their mind, it's still public because it's outside until they get to the shoot and they're like, oh my gosh, I would love to be naked here. I think one of the big things that has happened during a shoot, I've had a lot of like emotional moments with clients where either the client is crying or I've actually cried with a client before because she not broke down, I shouldn't say, like she expressed her emotions and it was just such a powerful moment that I started crying as well. And I was like, because I'm doing what I've always dreamed about doing. And it was just really beautiful to see how she reacted to the photos. They were just behind my camera, so absolutely no editing on a small screen. And she's looking at them. And she's like, I can't believe this is me. And she kept saying that over and over. And she just talked about how like she just really needed this experience. And so I started crying with her. So I would say more often than not, we have like emotional experiences during the shoot. But so far, what I found is women are actually more comfortable as the shoot goes on rather than less.
Yeah. Oh, that completely makes sense. I mean, in the couple of conversations that we have, it's obvious to tell for me that you can win over someone with conversation, and it is not about just getting the shot as the photographer that you want to get. It's all about getting the shot that they want as the subject of the photo shoot. Does that sound right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And a lot of times, like I said, it's not even necessarily about the shot at all. It's about how they're feeling, because at the end of the day, the photos are beautiful. They're going to have them, but I am just hoping to create a space where they can just really release whatever they need to release, and just feel like themselves, and know that they can be loved, and that they can also love themselves in a different way.
Tell me what it is that some of your subjects are hoping to accomplish. Like what's in there? Get me inside their head for just a moment, because I'm really curious. What I understand the freedom and the empowered feeling that one would get from it. Is it beyond that, or am I making this too simple? That's enough. It doesn't need to go beyond that.
I think it depends on the client. I mean, I've had some women who have shared some really difficult stories with me that they haven't been able to kind of like let go of or release during, after they've happened. And this experience of being vulnerable and intimate it's been part of their journey, to kind of release what's happened to them in the past. I think a huge one too is just the self-love. Like I think everyone deserves a professional photo shoot at some point in their life. And I'm not talking like a $20 like amateur. I'm talking like a good professional photo shoot, because it can just make you feel incredible about yourself. And I don't retouch any of these photos. I will take out anything that's temporary, so a pimple or a bruise, but I do not do any additional retouching. So no wrinkle removal, no sucking the arms in or anything like that. So they're really just seeing themselves for who they are. And I am so honored to be part of that experience, that they are able to kind of like finally see what beautiful creatures they are and how incredible they are. I
love it. I mean, if you go over to the website, which is theboudiebus.com, it gives you a whole bunch of stuff. It'll not only give you reviews and frequently asked questions, upcoming cities, but there's a portfolio that's in there that you can actually take a look at some of the other photos that are done beyond the smaller footprint that you'll see on Instagram. These are much bigger photos. It gives you a little bit of Sarah's backstory, so you can see and feel and understand why she does what she does. I think it's totally cool. I mean, I would love, it's not for me to, I think it's always a guy's fantasy for his woman or his significant other, or it could be his guy or her guy, to have these shots done. But I always feel like it's not my position to say so. You know what I mean? So how would somebody introduce an idea like this to someone that is not, if I'm not the subject, if I'm sharing that with a significant other, how do you explain that to that person to kind of open up the idea? I mean, sure, you've dealt with that before as well, because I'm sure there's people, including me in my community, that want to know, how do you get your partner to do this?
So I think that it depends on the type of relationship you have, right? So it depends on the type of like open communication. It's got to come from a very loving spot. So I think it's really, really relationship dependent. I know if my partner came to me and asked me to do it, I'm hoping to eventually do one with her. That's always been like a dream of mine, to have those beautiful photographs in our bedroom. But I think that it's a delicate conversation to say that, just because it is so vulnerable and so intimate, and being like, hey, I want you to go take, photographs of yourself exposed. It might be, I think the best way to do it would just be to like slowly introduce it or just be like, hey, I know this really cool photographer who does this type of work, not just talk about myself, but boudoir in general. Is this something you'd ever be interested in? And if your partner is very receptive, then you're like, oh, cool. Like maybe this is something I could gift my partner. But if they're like, oh, I would never do that, then it's something to back off of and probably not approach again.
So you decided to turn this into a business back in 2019, did you say?
So this really started last year. So 2021 is when the Boudie Bus.
Okay, the Boudie Bus started in 2021, and talk to me about not only this pay what you want business model, but talk to me about how you market, how you do your thing, so that those in my community that are bootstrapping a business can do it the way that you have done it as well.
So I will definitely say that one of the things that was really helpful was having such a large footprint in the DC area. So whenever I started, I had a lot of interest and a lot of people that shared my portfolio. But really, and I am the worst person at social media. I need to take my own advice, but honestly, social media is the way to go. Like it's hard. I struggle with it because I feel like I'm posting something that is vulnerable and intimate to my clients, but 90% of them say that I can use their images. So TikTok, every single video I make on TikTok, I've booked at least one shoot. So that has been huge.
Wow.
Instagram is great. It has not been nearly as helpful as TikTok. And then the other way that I have booked a ton of shoots is finding similar Facebook groups. So I'm part of like a van life collective on Facebook, and I post in there, just letting people know where I'm going to be. And I'm part of a few other women's groups. So just knowing the community and knowing where to post, I think is really important. Just doing some research and then spreading the word, like asking friends and knowing who lives where. I mean, this is specific for me just because I do travel the country, but obviously like if I know a friend lives in a certain area, I'm like, hey, would you be interested in this? Or do you know anyone who might be interested in this? And again, it's for me, it comes across as not as I'm trying to sell you something, because it is pay what you can. So it allows me to have more of a it shows that I'm just genuinely interested in spreading this to as many people as possible. I think it can be a little bit more difficult to do those types of things when there is like money involved, because people are, oh, you're just reaching out to me to try to get my money, you know? So because of my business model, it is a little bit, I would say, easier for me to like reach out to people who I might not have spoken to for a while. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. And then I've done quite a few podcasts, and publications have been great for me as well, just spreading the word. And my DC market is huge. So I'm really able to like, when I go back home,
Totally. And I completely get it. I mean, I spent 30 years as a social scene DJ in the Washington DC marketplace, doing only high end events in Potomac and Silver Spring and Fairfax,
we might share some clients.
I'm sure. Well, hopefully not too many of my bar and bat mitzvah clients were boudoir. maybe the moms and dads.
The editorial.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah, but I totally understand that that marketplace is great, and they definitely have the dollars to spend, as probably does the San Diego market and the Los Angeles market. But I would assume that are there a number of other photographers that do the type of work that you do in Southern California, where you are now?
Honestly, I haven't really started marketing myself a whole lot here. Just do, I mean, I've booked quite a few shoots here with the Boudie Bus prior to my trip, but I go back to DC so frequently. So I'm leaving in a month to go back to DC for 2 months.
Got it.
I actually just bought a one-way ticket. I'll go back, and that's when I make, most of my money is whenever I go back to DC, and I just book myself out solid. Last year I went back for 5 weeks, and I had 84 shoots in 5 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And thankfully I have a really, really, really supportive partner who completely understands, and she's in the military. So she actually just got back from deployment. So she totally gets the whole like having to travel for work thing. But yeah, so I haven't done a ton here in Southern California, but whenever I get back, I'm planning on really ramping up my business here.
And then finally, I want to talk about your flexibility to change with an ever-changing environment of doing your business. You just explained to me just before I hit record that your Boudie Bus actually had some mechanical error issues that were going on that you have now. It's in the shop and we'll be there for a while. So talk about that need to pivot and change on a dime.
Yeah, so the bus has been in the shop. I think this might be her fifth time. Just in the past year, I've spent about $15,000 on repairs. That doesn't include anything else. That's just repairs for the bus. So it's definitely been rough. And like right now, I am not living in the bus. I'm in a house with my partner. I'm very grateful, so thankful that we have a safe place to be, because obviously the bus, it broke down as I got into California. So I was very fortunate that I was not on the road whenever it happened. And unfortunately, like right now, I'm right in the middle of having to pivot. Like I am right in the middle of, I canceled the rest of my tour. I was supposed to be on tour for another 2 weeks, and I had to cancel all those shoots because the bus is in the shop. And I actually just set up a GoFundMe because financially, it's been rough because I am a pay what you can photographer. And the past few months, I mean, the bill that I have for the bus currently is $6,600. That just came out of the blue. And buses are expensive. Homes are expensive. And I definitely had set aside quite a bit of money for mechanical issues. But now that I'm going to be hitting over $20,000 in a year of owning the bus and mechanical issues, it is kind of swept me off my feet a little bit. And as far as pivoting, it's really just, I reach out, like what I've been doing all day today is reaching back out to my DC clients and just letting everyone know I'm coming back, booking shoots there like crazy, and reaching out to the contacts that I have in the publication world and just saying like, this is where I'm at. Can you help me make any connections? And I've got a really, really good relationship with all the publications that I work for. And thankfully they're like, absolutely, let's start making these connections for you. Let's start making these introductions so that you can start picking work up there. It's just, again, it's a little tough because I'm leaving in a month, but when I come back, I know that I will be able to fall back into work here.
Well, we certainly hope that the Boudie Bus doesn't remain in the shop too much longer, because there's an awful lot of booties that need to be need to be shot. So we want to make sure that you get it out there. Why don't you share with our community a couple things, because I think I heard a couple things in there that I think would be really good for us all to take advantage of. One, let's get over to your Instagram page. So can you tell people in our community how to get there and over to your website as well?
Absolutely. So the Instagram is Big Boudie Bus, and Boudie is spelled, I'll just spell the whole thing out. It's Big B-I-G, Boudie, B-O-U-D-I-E, like boudoir, Big Boudie Bus, B-U-S. That's my Instagram. And then my website is theboudiebus.com, and Boudie spelled the same way. So that's how you can find me on those two platforms. Okay.
And I really would love, now that I know a little bit more about what you're trying to do here, you have a Fund the Mission. Is that where people would go to help pay for some of the repairs on your bus, or is that a different spot?
No, absolutely. The Fund the Repairs on the website is a great place to go. And then I do have a GoFundMe as well. I'll go ahead and link that on my website. I don't know the link off the top of my head because it's some crazy long URL.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, I just set that up a few days ago. I've been really hesitant to do a GoFundMe just because I always feel like other people need more money than I do. But at this point, it's like I'm not able to continue financially supporting and pay what you can business. All my money, pretty much everything I do, I live and breathe this mission. Like, I think sometimes it drives my partner crazy, but again, she is very, early into the relationship, I told her I wanted to be a boudoir photographer. And I was like, listen, if that's going to be an issue with us, like, I need you to know that this is what I'm going to do. And this is my dream. And she's like, nah, I think it's cool. I'm like, all right, awesome. So I travel the country photographing naked women while she's on deployment. And I'm very lucky. I have a very, very phenomenal partner. But yeah, those are the ways that you can donate to funding the mission and getting the bus back on the road.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing all of your stuff on the show today, and really thank you to your clients for being so open and generous with not only giving you what they feel and you feel like you deserve to get to keep your business going, but for sharing all the photos on your site as well. That would be a challenge for me. I'm just thinking, gosh, if I took my photo with you and I really wanted to use this for my own private use, now it's on your website. So I'm assuming that there's probably, they don't have to do it or have it on you.
No, absolutely not. I have a contract where they can choose if any photos at all get shared. And then even past that, after our session, I send them their photos and they let me know which photos are okay to share.
Right,
so I am very protective of my clients. And if any of them ever asked me to take photos down, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I am very thankful as well, because without them allowing me to share their beautiful images and their openness to it, it'd be very hard for me to get business.
Nah, I totally get it. Thank you so much for sharing your message and your inspiration on the Nice Guys today. Thanks for being here, Sarah.
Thank you.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice or the power of having a good connection with a boudoir photographer. Special thanks to Sarah Marcella. All of her information, including access to her website, her GoFundMe, all the other stuff right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Seriously, it'll only hurt for a minute. Or two. 10 tops.